Welcome to this new episode of Cast It to the King. I'm here with Donovan, Moody,
Yes.
and glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you, man. It's an honor to be here. Glad to talk some basketball today, some other things coming up. So thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Glad to have you here. And for those that are watching, you are able to watch this on YouTube. For those that may be listening or want to listen on the go, this podcast and other shows like this is available on Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find it on your local Mac or iPhone devices. So hopefully we'll get something done with Androids, but folks around here don't like Androids, so
no,
it's mob rule around here apparently. All right, so for our first topic right off the bat is Tennessee Titans-centric, and we have suffered so many losses in a row that I have now been reduced to talking with a Titans analyst on Twitter, and here is our rant going back and forth in our subjugation towards the Titans. Here you go. All right, we're here today with Manfredi, and he actually hosts his own podcast show. If you could say to the audience, so we can give a shout out to your podcast, where they can find you on Twitter or any other socials.
Absolutely, yeah. So I do a show with two fellow fans that reside in New Jersey, like myself, for the Titans. We just joined up with a podcast company called The Sick Podcast. So we're doing The Sick Podcast Talking Titans. You can find us on Twitter at, I believe our new handle is The Sick Pod Titans. Mm-hmm. You can also find us on YouTube, and my handle is at Sal Manfredi, SalManfredi. So we just started that up about a week ago, and we're having a lot of fun. So yeah, appreciate letting me shout that out.
All right, and I just got started with my podcast a few weeks ago.
Excellent.
So hey, we're both in a running, and quite tumultuous times actually, if you're a Titan fan right now. So. As we are recording this today, we are talking about the debacle that was 19-14 loss to the Houston Texans in Nashville. And if you actually read on Twitter, Buck Rison's tweet, he said that it was announced that 66,000 fans were in attendance, and a same-minded person that saw the game would say you're smoking something, because it was barely half full. I would say the playoff game against the Ravens, when there were 2020 COVID protocols, were more full, had more fans than it was at the Houston game this past week. So I'll kick it off to you first. 5 straight losses, like after starting out 7-3. Like, where do we go from here? Should we set the reset button? Should we clean house? Should we do what I propose is a reset, which is you get rid of some key players, but you don't get rid of everybody, but you get rid of the cancer that's affecting the team, like say a offensive coordinator or particular players or coaches. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what we're dealing with now is basically just kind of a full-on everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Excuse my language, but storm, I think is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
You start off with the fact that our offensive coordinator is without a shadow of a doubt the worst in the league, and at least that's my opinion. And then you get that with injuries and the fact that our starting quarterback's gone down, the fact that our previous GM that we let go put us in an awful situation in depth and offensive line, and you're getting our first 5-game losing streak in 7 years. That's really what all that equates to. As far as what I think our best options are moving forward, the easiest one would be removing Todd Downing. It's criminal that he's allowed to keep his job as long as he has this year. So that would be the initial first move. You got to get a fresh play caller in there that knows how to execute and knows how to bring the best out of their players. Who that man is, I don't have any early candidates lined up just yet, but I'll be doing my due diligence and researching some in the offseason. Moving on from that, yeah, there might be some guys that you might have to let go to free up some space. I don't know what our quarterback situation is going to look like next year. Tannehill's due $1 zillion next year that I don't think this team's going to want to pay him due to the fact that we just can't get over the hump with him. So is Malik Willis the answer? I don't know yet. I really don't. It's a shame that a lot of people like to say that he's a total bust already when I don't think it's possible that a rookie can be put in a worse situation than him. Than the one he's been put in. But there's a lot of feeling out that we're going to have to do on a bunch of levels So we'll see how everything plays out. But I agree with you. I don't think a full rebuild is necessary because of the key players that we have, like Jeffrey Simmons, Traylon Burks. Some of our corners are need a little work but are okay. But there's going to have to be some significant changes and realistically just a whole identity change from this football team if we want to take the next step, because the run-first offense is just not going to win you a championship in 2022 or any time moving forward.
Yeah. So I equate again. I mean, you nail on the head. And actually, the more Todd Downing continues to be offensive coordinator, the more Mike Vrabel becomes an enabler of Todd Downing. So,
absolutely.
With 2 games left in the year, we currently run an offense that thinks Tannehill is still the quarterback, and you have a Lamar Jackson, Kyle Murray skill ilk of quarterback and like throwing the ball in your offense, and you don't utilize any RPOs or deep, and your only deep throws pretty much your Hail Mary at the end of the game, which is unforgivable.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, good thing we're filming today versus immediately after the game, or it's because I was yelling at that game for the play calls we were doing. So that's the beauty of filming these things is you get you cool down a good 24 hours, and then you can be nice and composed about it. So, or else I'm losing my mind today. Honestly, a nice reset with Todd Downing is almost all but expected. But I've been saying for the longest time that I've never seen this much this coddleness of an offensive coordinator between OC and head coach. And we are honestly running into a Mike Mularkey situation all over again, where it was him and Terry Robisky, and the ultimatum was get rid of Terry or you're out. And history says that's going to happen, but with the firing of John Robinson, it's still not known. Some outlets have said that it was a power move by Vrabel, that he's going to get more control, a la Bill O'Brien when back in Houston, or Amy Adams or it was a sign from Amy Adams to say to Todd Downing and Mike Vrabel saying, hey, we are struggling. Yes, we have a bad roster, but it's up to you guys to coach up this roster. We made the number 1 seed last year with the most injuries, and we're in that similar situation. But now we're losing games. So, and I actually talked about it. I can't tell you how many times when I now talk about Titans with my friends and my how distraught and broken they are of how much the season has taken on them, and them finally realizing like, hey, what we're doing is not working. Like, yes, we had the smash mouth football with Mularkey, and we have this era with Derrick Henry with Vrabel, but ultimately, big picture, that's not going to win you a Super Bowl. It never has, honestly, in our lifetime at least. And maybe you can point to Joe Flacco and the running game with the Ravens when they beat the 49ers. But honestly,
Flacco balled out that year.
Yeah, he did.
Exactly. He was a superstar.
Yeah, he did. So you could point to that year, possibly, but in all honesty, there has never been in a long, long time a Super Bowl winner where it was just run heavy with your running back and your quarterback is pedestrian. If the year to do that was it was 2019 against the Kansas City Chiefs, but we blew that game in the second half. But that's hindsight. All honesty, again, to the greater point, you need a good offensive system and you need a good superstar quarterback with the Josh Allens of the world, the now Brock Purdy's of all people, for crying out loud. He's looking like two playoff wins under his belt, and he's going to be on his way to be the next Tom Brady almost. So which is unbelievable. I mean, that's a testament to coaching. That's a testament to coaching. Which, big picture, if the more Vrabel becomes an enabler and ultimately says in his end of season press conference saying we're not going to get rid of Todd Downing, he wasn't the issue. You're not going to either get rid of your strength and conditioning coach, which you did a position renaming for him. He's the director of sports performance. He's not the strength and conditioning coach. He's the director of sports performance. What the heck that means, I have no idea. It's pretty much the same thing, and we had the same result for the he's been on staff since 2019, and we've been injured to hell and back since that time. So if you're not going to get rid of at least him, then we're just going to be stagnant. But ultimately, if we don't get rid of Downing, and ultimately leaves us firing Vrabel, we need to hire a sane offensive-minded head coach, because ultimately in the NFL, you see these defensive-minded head coaches outside of Sean McDermott as the prime example. These defensive-minded head coaches, I forget his name in Los Angeles with the Rams right now, with Justin Herbert.
Sean McVay.
No, that's the Rams head coach.
No, that's the Rams.
Brandon Staley? Yeah.
Yes.
Brandon Staley. Outside of him and Sean McDermott, they get in terms of evolving their offenses and whatnot, and being able to keep up with the game. Outside of those two instances and examples, these defensive-minded head coaches can't evolve their offenses, and the years they do have good offenses, the coordinators go off to be head coaches, and then the next year your offense is in a slump, which to Vrabel's predicament is that, sure, he's a good CEO, but that 1 year when he was switching back and forth with defensive coordinators in 2020 was horrendous for us. He's a horrible coordinator, and quite frankly, if this keeps up and he's an endorser of Todd Downing after this year, he's a horrible assessor over coaches, in my opinion. And he only had that good run with Arthur Smith, Matt LaFleur, and Dean Pease as our coordinators, and now Shane Bowen, which is the one thing he got right when he promoted him to defensive coordinator, and promoted Arthur Smith to be offensive coordinator. The rest he has gotten wrong with position coaches and also the strength and conditioning coach, which is pretty much ridiculous. But big picture, the Dallas game is useless now. We can lose that game. We can win that game. It's not going to change what's going to happen in Week 18. And I pray to God that last game is not flexed to Sunday night. That's going to be an embarrassment to watch.
It's going to be, though. Just telling you right now.
Unfortunately, yes. But for the sake of sanity, I pray that a different play-in game pops up.
Yeah.
Or even a division, even if it's just for the division and both teams are still in. I mean, just for the sanity of fans and whatnot, so they're not subjected. I mean, maybe that's what they need. Maybe that's what the world needs. They need to see this dumpster fire on display and turn up the heat on ownership to make a change for at least the offensive side of the ball with the coaches and whatnot. And if Vrabel won't do that, he's got to go. I'm sorry, he's got to go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the bottom line is this. For all the good that Mike Vrabel does for this organization, there's a lot of good that he does.
Yeah.
You could point back to the injuries and how we were able to fight through that and get a number one seed, and the fact that he just motivates these guys he brings in off the street to play well. I mean, there's a laundry list of names you could bring up of guys that weren't playing football at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, they're balled out. Yeah, they're balled out on defense, averaging outside of the Bills, Eagles, and Jaguars game, we have not given up over 30 points. We are hovering around that in the teens and sometimes in the 20s, giving up points per game, which you can't ask any more of your defense. If they're giving up the yards but they're not giving up the points, you can't ask anything more of them.
Absolutely not. So, my point being, if he's going to be as stubborn as he's been when it comes to our play calling offensively, which it's obvious at this point that he's putting his stamp of approval on Todd Downing and the job he's doing, then none of it matters. He's going to have to go. It's just it's so cut and dry at this point how poor he is at his job, that if the organization allows him to continue to keep him around, then it's going to have to happen. You got rid of John Robinson. You got rid of Mike Mularkey due to the fact that the teams weren't performing. I mean, this is the worst offense in football. And it's been that way for a solid 3 months now. So, I'd love to see Mike Vrabel stay. He's a hell of a motivator. He's as tough as nails. He epitomizes everything you want as a head coach, as far as his appearance and his work ethic and how he works with players. but decision-making is part of his job. He doesn't call plays on either side of the ball. He's the head coach. He makes decisions. And if he's going to keep this guy, wearing a headset when he's clearly the worst guy on the planet for the job, then I don't have any remorse for him. He's going to have to go. He can be the coach of Ohio State and be the best recruiter in college if he wants to be, because he would own that state if he did go to Ohio State. But I'm tired of being content with just getting by when all these other teams like the Bills, the Chargers, the Chiefs, they're all moving in the right direction. We're moving in the wrong direction. And it all starts with him at this point, now that John Robinson's gone.
Yeah. And, again, if I pray to God that report is not true and he is given GM power, which we are going to be stagnant for at least the next 2 years after this year, which I'm glad I'm a Memphis Grizzlies fan because I have a nice alternative to go to if this all goes sideways the way I fear it might be this offseason. So I'm glad I'm a Grizzly fan I can fall back on, or else I would just be miserable as a sports fan right now. But never mind. The Christmas loss to the Warriors with the Grizzlies. Desmond Bane starts out 0-7 for 3 points. That's never going to happen again. He's coming off an injury.
Yeah.
I will lick someone's foot if that happens again because that never happens. That will never happen. Yeah. So that's the reason we lost that game. It's because he was rusty coming off an injury. Yeah, that's Grizzlies for you. Tennessee, though. Well, is Malik Willis the guy? I actually watched him at Liberty. I actually lived in Virginia. My sister goes to Liberty University still.
Oh, wow.
And I watched him for a few games. And my first game seeing him was against Middle Tennessee. And that was, quote, his worst game with like 3 interceptions. But there's this 2-point conversion that he's like the offensive line just collapsed. And he's reeling, and he's like back at his own 20-yard line. And then he finds someone in the back corner of the end zone for the 2-point conversion. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is like – no, you want to talk about Josh Allen and what Patrick Mahomes does. That was Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes level right there. So
we saw it on Sunday. We saw it on the last possession. Obviously, it ended with an interception, but we saw a couple.
Never mind the lack of PI that maybe should have been called. But
it's debatable. But we saw him just absolutely evade like 3 different defenders in like 2 separate plays on Sunday that were just, he was literally on his hands and he still got up and he was still able to throw the ball. We saw a hell of a throw on the sideline. I think it was like a 3rd and 14 or whatever.
Yeah.
He evaded like 3 tackles. He has the intangibles. Nobody's going to tell me that he doesn't have the skill set to be a NFL starting caliber quarterback. The issue at hand is, number one, you got the worst offensive line in football, which is not going to do anybody any favors, and you don't have enough guys that can get separation catching the ball. You just don't. Is Chig and is Ellison Hooper, are they good pass catchers? Yes. But they're not guys that are going to blow off the line of scrimmage and get open when you got an offensive line that's closing in on a guy in 0.5 seconds. It's just not going to happen. You need more than just good tight end pass catchers. You need wide receivers that get separation. I don't know if Burks is still dealing with a little bit of injury. He only got 2 targets on Sunday. That's obviously a big problem. But we need
that was the ultimate crime. That was the ultimate crime for not getting him more targets than that. If he's on the field, you get him more targets. Get him more acclimated with Malik Willis. And yes, preseason is preseason, but they had one heck of a connection in the preseason.
Absolutely.
So I mean, again, that falls back on play call. You need to ask this question, and if the answer is yes, then you know what the problem is. If you put Malik Willis in Brock Purdy's place, are the 49ers still having the success they are?
Absolutely, and you can even make an argument they could be better. Listen, obviously, Purdy's accuracy is off the charts right now for them. He's just dropping dimes left and right, but he's got protection. He has an all-world caliber tight end. He has an all-world caliber receiver. He's got a good running game. You can even go back to Josh Allen. Look at Josh Allen's first 2 years in Buffalo. Nothing was working.
Not good,
for him.
yeah.
Mediocre, because he had nothing around him to support success. And look what happens. Year 3, they start getting protection for him. He gets Diggs. He's got Beasley that 3rd year. he's just got pass catches, blocking, and then look what happens. He's arguably the most talented quarterback in the league right now, and I would honestly probably want him over Mahomes if I had my choice. So you can't jump to conclusions on a guy when he is literally, not figuratively, he's literally being put in the worst position any rookie quarterback can be put in.
Yeah.
No protection and very little, pass catchers who can get separation. It's just a recipe for disaster. And our fan base needs to open their eyes and allow a season to approach where he has avenues for success before we jump to any conclusions.
Yeah, and a similar argument can be made what Jalen Hurts went through his first year coming in for Carson Wentz. Same situation, same O-line, not good receivers. What did they do? After acclimating with Nick Sirianni, they took the same approach with Tua. They said, hey, we're going to get you receivers. We're going to get you your O-line while your contract is still cheap. You perform, great. If not, hit the road. That's what Tennessee needs to do with the offensive coaching, and they need to do that with the talent around Malik Willis. And even if that means burn like scorch earth style with the Rams, trade some draft picks, and if you got to do that, maybe you do that. I honestly don't know because the crop of again, like some of us thought that I'm forgetting his name now. That 5th round wide receiver that we drafted from UCLA.
Kyle Phillips.
Yeah, we all thought he was going to be the next. Some of us thought he was going to be the next Cooper Kupp
He looked great against the Giants,
camp.
man. I was there for that game. Then he got hurt, and now we haven't seen him since.
So who knows? I mean, that's the thing with rookie receivers. Like, unless you have Pierre Garcon and whoever that other wide receiver was with Peyton Manning, get them that acclimated with the offense. It's tough. It's tough to do that with. It's tough to do that with rookie wide receivers. But, again, it revolves back to coaching. Coaching matters, for crying out loud. At this point, with Malik Willis, I know he's a good guy. He says all the right things that you want him to say as a quarterback. But at this point, you remember in the preseason he ran for like 20-something yards and Mike Vrabel got him out of there saying he wasn't supposed to run?
Yeah, I do.
He needs to have that mentality of, screw it, I am just going to find what I can find. I don't care what the coaches yell in my ear. I'm going to find what I can find. And if I'm successful and Vrabel still has an issue, let the media and the fans hash it out with him. If it breaks down, then I'll take the blame. So that needs to be his mentality against Dallas, and needs to be his mentality against Jacksonville, which will be the only resemblance of chance that we will have this year if we want to make some noise still in 2022. If there is a sliver of hope, that's the only sliver of hope there is. If Malik Willis goes scorch earth and saying, "Screw this," like a screw this mentality, but that's not him.
This Dallas game absolutely has to be a trial run of a completely different style of offense.
It's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not. It's disgusting and it's criminal to us as fans that it's not going to happen. But you're literally being handed a free preseason game to test out different styles and plays to ramp up for your playoff game. That'll be 2 weeks or a week from this Sunday. Is it going to happen? No, you're right. It's not. But you just got to pray that someone in the higher ups in this organization realizes
we need a Bud Adams intervention. We need a Bud Adams intervention when he went to Jeff Fisher in 2009 saying, "You will start Vince Young after starting at 0-6. You will start Vince Young." That's what we need. We need a Bud Adams intervention with.
Listen, Amy's got it in her too. She's got it in her. She's made some big moves over the past couple of years that some people would have said might not have been the best, and I think the malarkey firing worked out in all reality because I do like Mike Vrabel as a coach, even though we touched on it already about his decision-making with staff isn't the best. But the bottom line is that I'm just happy that we're still in a position where we have relevant Titan football, and that's what we're going to have on this last Week 18 game. So I'm looking at it as an ice cream game. Obviously, we're not going anywhere in the AFC this year, so just hope that you can watch another game after that and another game after that, and then it's time to revamp in 2023 and give this team a new identity.
Here's the frustrating part. We both agree they're not going to revamp the offense for Malik Willis. with the RPOs and whatnot. But here's the frustrating part. We have seen it this year against the Chiefs. First half, and it worked. It worked. And then they went away from it in the second half, to which, oh, my God.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the exact reaction I have every week. It's disgusting. It really is. I think a chimpanzee with a headset would be more fitting as an offense coordinator than Todd Downing. He's just weighing over his head. He looks lost. Everyone when's the last time an entire fan base, like literally every member of a fan base, has agreed about how poorly a staff member is at his job? I can't remember. I really can't. I mean, there's nobody in this fan base that thinks Todd Downing is a good coordinator, and yet this organization continues to allow him to call plays and put this team in a bigger and bigger hole. It's just it's atrocious on all levels.
Yeah, and honestly, all the fans can do, and I equate this on the entertainment side with movies. The one thing, like, you can scream all you want on Twitter, you can scream all you want on Facebook towards the executives or these coaches, they're not going to listen to you. What they will listen to is money in the bottom line. And these movie studios that put out movies, they listen to the audience based on what the box office returns are. And the only way ownership is legitimately going to listen to these fans is if they stop purchasing tickets, merchandise, and not show up to these games. And what happened, what was it, 2013 or something? It was everybody left for this Cardinals game, and it went to overtime. It was like an empty stadium. And that was when Tommy Smith was, like, running the show. And then he got axed after that game, essentially, after that season. So maybe something similar needs to happen with this Dallas game where nobody shows up or it's just filled with Cowboy fans in the stands, essentially, is what needs to happen to get this ownership's attention, saying, hey, we disapprove of what you're doing, and you think this one game was an example. I mean, maybe that's what happened in Houston. People just decide not to show up. So maybe that's what happened in Houston. So
time will tell.
And that was Saul from the Sick Podcast, that you can find his podcast on YouTube and on Twitter at any time you can. So, all right. So now to kick off the show with Donovan Moody. So how's your morning, Donovan?
It's going good. It's going good. On the topic of the Titans, I just had a question for you, Josh, if that's okay. Derrick Henry. Gotta love him, right?
Do I love him? I mean,
what
are you trying to imply?
That's not the question. I was just, that's the intro to the question.
Of course he's the king. He's a
okay. I'm glad you said that. So the question is he still the best running back in the league?
Yeah, that question.
Okay.
That question.
No question.
Give him
Nobody close.
Give him a better O-line. Give him a better offensive coordinator, and he's duking it out downfield, and not have to carry the whole team, and have to fight for that extra yard, which has led to some fumbles the last few weeks with him. So it's a trickle down effect with we have a horrible offensive coordinator, we have a horrible offensive line put into place, and even despite that, he's gotten over 1,000 yards rushing this year. And just match what you
is he leading the league in rushing?
No, he's not. I believe. I don't think
probably top 5 though, right?
Top 7, I want to say.
Okay.
He's up there. He's up there. So
I know Josh Jacobs has been a beast this year.
Yeah, he has.
Can't think of who else. Saquon, Miles Sanders, Christian McCaffrey always, but he's more multi-purpose yards instead of just rushing.
And that's the thing about Derrick Henry. He can be multi-purpose too, but they don't use him that way.
Yeah, I like when they use him in the passing game. It's effective. Another question on the topic of football before we get into our other topics.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great wide receivers in the league. Who are your top 5 right now?
Man, top 5. You know what? If the subject on top wide receivers is so fluctuated that if you were to say a few years ago that what's his name from New Orleans would fizzle out.
Michael Thomas?
Yeah, if Michael Thomas would have fizzled out, if Julio Jones would have fizzled out, Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr.
Man, yeah.
Folks would have, you would have lost your mind if I said they're irrelevant, essentially, by the time
that's a good point,
2021, 22 comes around. But in terms of the now and the present, A.J. Brown's obviously up there.
Okay.
You have Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
You got Jalen Waddle. You got.
Is this the top 5, or are you just naming people right now?
I'm naming like top 5 off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
Off the top of my head right now. Yeah, I got AJ.
You said Tyreek. You said
Jalen. Do tight ends count or just
Nope,
receivers?
just receivers.
Just receivers. Okay, just receivers. No one on the Titans. I'll tell you that.
No.
Nobody.
Not even close.
The Titans are a hellhole for fantasy production, unless you have Derrick Henry. Yeah. That's the only person you're going to get fantasy production out of. Oh darn. Stupid me. Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson. How could I forget about them?
So you
that's
said,
5 right there.
Yeah, you said Tyreek, Stephon, Jalen, AJ Brown, and
Jalen Waddle.
Jefferson.
The two receivers in Miami, and then Jefferson.
I'm gonna throw a couple names at you and see if you. I don't know if you just forgot them, or maybe you don't think they're top 5.
Have, because I've been busy.
First name, Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
he's in top 5.
Let's do top 10 right now. Top 10. Yeah, he's up there.
Okay,
he's up there.
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, he's up there.
Cooper.
See, I'm forgetting these names.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp. Yeah, he's been injured all year. So
not all year, but yeah, most of the year.
For most of the year, to where, again, like I told, off the top of my head, I just don't. Yeah.
This is an interesting one. DeAndre Hopkins. He hasn't played that much this season.
He's sniffing. He's sniffing top 10. Okay. He's sniffing top 10.
Because he would have been one of those a couple years ago where you said, okay,
exactly.
top 3 at the lowest.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Not a bad list.
All
I'd probably take Waddle off and put Kupp in.
Yeah.
Or Adams.
Yeah.
All right, what we got next?
All right, so now that my therapy session of the Titans has been cleared up right now, last thing I will say about the Titans that just got released the other day, the offensive coordinator Todd Downing was being interviewed and talking about why not run some RPOs with Malik Willis as your quarterback, and he gave like the bonehead stupid statement you can ever think of a head coach. I mean, a coach can say, saying that, well, we don't want to give off the tendencies to future opponents of how we run our offense. I'm like, so essentially you can replace RPOs with passing and running and just re-say the sentence as, oh, we don't want to get off our tendencies of how we run Derrick Henry in our offense, so we're not going to run the ball as much.
Yeah.
Idiot. Just, oh, my God.
I don't know what to think about y'all's QB situation right now. But
we have the worst O-line in the league right now, and we have the worst left tackle in the league.
Not a good combo.
Worst. So,
man.
All right, our first topic right off the bat after talking about our Titans, but talking about our next topic right now. NFL Sunday Ticket has been with DirecTV since 1994. And for the last few years, there's been rumblings and rumors of a bidding war between major heads at Amazon, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Apple TV, even with Apple TV Plus, of getting these rights for streaming purposes of NFL Sunday Ticket. At the last second, Google/YouTube actually placed in a last-second bid, and it turns out it was a bigger bid than the rest of the guys because as we stand here today, starting next year for the NFL season, YouTubeTV has won the bidding war over such giants and will in a 7-year contract with the NFL, ranking in over $2 billion a year. The DirecTV contract was $1.5 billion. So the NFL is making a profit off of this, and more users are going to have this up their arsenal with YouTube TV. So
$2 billion a year.
So what do you think? You think it was a good buy for YouTube to get NFL Sunday Ticket?
Yeah, it's a draw because YouTube TV is pretty expensive. compared to other streaming platforms. So the NFL Sunday Ticket definitely adds like, okay, maybe I should get YouTube TV to watch football, because otherwise, I don't know if, do you have YouTube TV?
I do.
Okay. I don't.
For what for what they say at YouTube TV in the Sunday Ticket, from the rough estimates of what has been let out there, is that if you have YouTube TV already, it's going to be an add-on service. Like say for example, NBA, for example, I think it's called Bally Sports or something that does the Grizzly games. I think, you know what? Let's do a more broad example. You have YouTube TV, for example, and you want to have an add-on service, like say a HBO Max or a Hulu to be added to your arsenal. You would just pay an additional whatever dollar amount that they set, and then you have that add-on service that you can look up and search for.
So it's
stuff. So from my understanding, it is not team exclusive space. Like say for example, there's this portal of Sunday Ticket, and then you can choose what team you want throughout the whole year, or what particular game you want throughout the whole year. It's everything you get. You get everything. There's no picking and choosing. For some folks, that's unfortunate, but the fact that you're getting this in the first place is a blessing anyway. So folks might be able to overlook that and just say, hey, we got it. And we didn't have DirecTV all these years, and it's frustrating if you're out of market.
Yeah.
So that's essentially how that rolls.
I gotcha. I think it's a good buy for YouTube TV. I couldn't really see any of these other, maybe.
Yeah, it was Amazon. You had Amazon with Prime Video. You had Apple.
Nah.
You had Disney Plus,
I can see
which
them,
essentially has ESPN Plus. So
Yeah, I
you're
can see
wrapping
that one.
around that. You had Paramount Plus that does CBS,
Maybe.
and then you have Peacock that does WrestleMania and all that other stuff. So, of those tech giants, Google/YouTube has won the bidding war.
$2 billion
A year.
What would you do with $2 billion, Josh?
I would put a stake into Twitter. I'll be Elon Musk co-hand right now, because he's doing some cool stuff on Twitter right now.
I'm not paying attention to it really, but what's some of that cool stuff he's doing?
One, I mean, right off the bat, you can be verified.
Oh
and be able to chat with these higher honchos, journalists, and
you got to like pay for it. It's like
it's only like $7.99 a month.
That's not
But if you're Apple user, it's actually $4 more. It's a way for him
Hold on,
to
what
get.
you trying to say, man?
It's a way for him to get around. Because the crazy thing with Apple is that with Apple, if you have a subscription based app, they keep 30% of whatever profits you get from said subscription.
I didn't know that.
So that was the little loophole Elon Musk found in between the lines there, saying it's going to be $4 more to cover that. Essentially, it's essentially the Apple tax.
Hey, I might have to switch to Android after that one.
or do what most folks do, because it's not available to do on Android. Actually, do it log on the web. Then it's $8 a month, even if it's on a Apple computer, just not an iOS phone.
I got
So yeah, that was the big news about YouTube TV buying NFL Sunday Ticket. I think it's more significant in a way that it's once again another step in the streaming wars that is going on between Netflix and all these other tech giants. And actually, Netflix has said that with ESPN rumored to be spun off of Disney, that they're looking to get into the sports business as well, to get some live
they don't
events
really
there
have much
on
besides
Netflix.
documentaries and whatnot.
And so if Netflix starts getting into the sports game, that's just another wrinkle in what's going on in the streaming wars between all these giants and whatnot. So YouTube having that in their arsenal is definitely a big flexing of the muscles for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so our next segment of the show is rapid fire. So we're going to do a buy or sell rapid fire here, and basically I'm going to read off I'm going to read off what's on the list here of what we got going on, and then we're going to either buy it or sell it.
Let's do it.
So, Donovan, you may have not have known this, but Spider-Man No Way Home made almost $2 billion. Speak on the topic of $2 billion. It almost made $2 billion.
Well deserved.
Well
deserved.
Pretty much like the first full-fledged blockbuster movie in the pandemic era. To second highest, the second highest opening weekend behind Avengers Endgame all time. And it was literally the first movie to cross over even the threshold of $100 million opening weekend in the pandemic era. It did one better than $100 million. It made $260 plus in its first opening weekend. I say that because Sony has officially confirmed Spider-Man 4. So buy or sell, Spider-Man 4 will come out before Avengers Kang Dynasty in 2025. You have 2 Avengers films coming out back-to-back years with Kang Dynasty and Avengers 5 in 2025. And then you have Avengers 6 Secret Wars in May 2026. I'm going to actually, you know what? Things could switch on a dime so fast that it might be a buy. As we stand right now, I am technically going to sell this. I'm going to say this will be Spider-Man 4 will be the first film coming out of Kang Dynasty. Just like how Far From Home came out immediately after Endgame. As we stand right now.
Okay.
Money. The money says. I mean, the money essentially says figuratively that this movie will come out for sure, but they gotta start announcing stuff right now for production, who's in it, and the filming schedule because it's about a year to make a film. We're about to end 2023, so if you're gonna have the latest, have a release date of late December or sometime in the winter of 2024. So going forward, I'm going to sell this because the only way I can see this coming out is if it comes out around that range where Fantastic Four is supposed to come out, which is right now slated for either November or February of 2024, 2025. So that's my take on it.
Okay.
All right.
I'm excited for it though. I like the Raimi trilogy. Well, I guess it's not a trilogy anymore. Is Sam Raimi directing?
No, it was the John Watts trilogy. He directed the last 3 Spider-Man movies.
Wait, okay, so this is okay.
Sam Raimi directed the Tobey Maguire trilogy.
That's what I thought we were talking about when you said Spider-Man 4. Spider-Man
the Marvel Spider-Man 4.
Oh, okay. I might have to change my take on this.
Okay,
then.
so do you buy or sell it now?
I am going to have to sell this. I feel like the Kang Dynasty has already been kind of set up with the new Ant-Man coming out.
And
obviously,
and in Loki.
Yep. And obviously, we already got the confirmation for it. And
we didn't know Deadpool was going to come out before Kang Dynasty, and they just dropped that date on us. So,
yeah.
So there could be
a while.
So
since
there could
the
be
last Deadpool though.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna sell. I'm with you. It's a potential, but I'm with you.
It would have to be late 2024 at this rate.
I'd be interested in what the direction of that movie is.
Next topic we have on, speaking of Daredevil, John Bernthal, who is famous for his Punisher role on the Netflix shows, is rumored to be having an appearance in Daredevil Born Again, as his character was very violent and rated R for the great purposes on Netflix. Rumored to be in 6 episodes in the 18 episode first season of this new Daredevil Born Again show. Buy or sell, this Daredevil show is going to get a TVMA rating. The equivalent is rated R.
I'm going to need some context here.
It's coming out on Disney Plus.
No, with other Marvel shows, are there any TV mature rated?
Right now on the boondocket, they actually have one in the pipeline with Marvel Zombies. So that's one on the docket.
But are there?
They said that Moon Knight flirted with it, but it wasn't officially TVMA.
It's gonna be worse than Moon Knight. It's gonna be worse than Moon Knight.
So you buy a TVMA.
I'm buying rated R or TV mature?
I think
His name is the Punisher.
I'm gonna buy that his episodes are gonna be TVMA. The rest of the Daredevil episodes where he's not in it are gonna tug so closely
Yeah,
to that.
but Daredevil.
All right, because all honesty, like Daredevil, the Daredevil shows are rated mature for only 2 reasons: violence, blood, and then in season 2, Punisher let off a few F-bombs to Daredevil, which, if in movie terms, if you have more than one F-bomb, you're automatically dubbed and rated R rating. Next topic, and we're gonna stick with Marvel for a bit here. Evan Peters, who played Quicksilver in the X-Men films, and if you've seen WandaVision, briefly showed up as Quicksilver, but he was apparently a different character in that small town in WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
He's been rumored to be showing up in Deadpool 3, of all things. So, buy or sell, he is actually going to play Quicksilver from the X-Men movies in that Deadpool movie.
I want to buy this. I want to buy it because, one, I love X-Men, and I also love Quicksilver. Super speed is one of my favorite superpowers. Teleportation, so like Nightcrawler, one of my favorites.
By the way, that's probably one of the best opening scenes in a comic book movie still to this day with X-Men 2.
Yeah, for sure. Love Nightcrawler. So, with that being said, I liked Quicksilver in the what movie was that? Days of Future Past?
Yeah, Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
He was in X-Men Apocalypse and then briefly in Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
So he's been in the last 3 dubbed X-Men movies.
Yep. So I like the character. I like the superpower. I love Marvel. I love X-Men. So I want to buy this. I'm buying it. Take my money now.
I want to buy this too, but if you know what, I'll lay down the money with you. I'll buy this with you too because this is said to be a multiverse, like the bonkers multiverse movie that we didn't get in Doctor Strange.
Really?
Multiverse of Madness, because we got Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine already, which has been announced. They have teased the other day that Ryan Reynolds wants Channing Tatum to come back. Actually make his debut as Gambit, and for those that know behind the scenes, he was supposed to have a Gambit solo movie in the pipelines with 20th Century and X-Men back in the day. They even teased that Comic-Con with his own logo and the whole cast, like that big cast photo in Hall H that Channing Tatum was in. Sadly,
I like Gambit.
it never happened because Disney bought 20th Century Fox and shelved all those plans. So maybe Ryan Reynolds has something up his sleeve. So next up, and we are gonna jump into sports here. And Christmas Day was a sour note for Grizzly fans, as you know, Donovan. Yeah. The Warriors just beat the Grizzlies.
I'll turn my hat around for this one.
And they are several games are 500. Buy or sell, they're a team no one wants to face if they make the playoffs. Right now, they are currently the 10th seed, eligible for the play-in tournament.
It depends. Is Steph going to be healthy? That's a big factor. Are they going to have home court advantage? Because right now, I think they're 12-3 at home. On the road, they're terrible. They're like 2-12 or whatever.
Single-digit wins, yeah.
So we're saying Steph is healthy. If they make it up to, top 4 seed, I would agree. I would buy it. They're a team that nobody wants to face in the playoffs. That is true. Nobody wants to face Steph Curry in the playoffs.
I'll tell you who shouldn't want to face them. It's the Memphis Grizzlies right now. I'm going to buy that they're a team no one wants to face in the playoffs. And Christmas Day, essentially, show the whole world that they'll get spurts from their depth that you don't expect. And the Grizzlies almost blew it against the Timberwolves last year. Luckily, we were able to come back not once but twice, like almost 20 points down in 2 separate games. We did in one game. I don't know if the other time we did it It was by 20 points. It was by a big significant
Yeah.
margin. But how many times is that going to happen? So I'm not counting on that like catching lightning in a bottle multiple times. Back into the entertainment world with Netflix. Starting in 2023, a new company policy will have Netflix. They will be banning password sharing. So if you have an account with your parents or your friends and you're out of state or you are in a different address of your house, you will not be able to use said Netflix account. So buy or sell, Netflix should be doing this.
How do you do that?
IP address.
IP. When I speak for the people, I have to sell. But obviously, from Netflix's perspective, it's getting kind of crazy with the Netflix passwords and who all has access to it.
I'm going to look at it from the company perspective, and I will buy this. I'm going to buy it from the company's perspective because as I can think of right now with Netflix, as I am currently a sharer, I'm a sharee from my parents' account actually, is that from what I understand, there is like X amount of accounts that you can have, and then you can pay for more to have more accounts onto your thing, but it's only like $2 or $3 more versus what that individual person could be paying Netflix, which is about $12 more on top of that $3. So for every user that say has 5 additional users, that's about $50 a month per said user that Netflix is missing out on. And if you times that by the millions of subscribers they have on top of sharers that they have in their accounts, that's a lot of money. And a last second add to this buy and sell list to wrap this up. Luka Doncic went off like a nuclear bomb, right? Against last night. It's unbelievable what he did. For 60 points, 20 assists, and 10 rebounds, I believe. So the buy and sell on this is going to be the Mavericks should be considered favorites in the West for representing them in the NBA Finals.
No. That's going to be a hard sell just because it's Luka versus the world. They have good role players, but that's what they are, role players. So it's like,
don't you need good role players to make the finals?
Yeah, but if they ain't playing their role, there's no chance. For example, if they go cold from 3, or if they're not, they don't really have a good interior presence for defense. Jason Kidd is a good defensive coach, but I just don't see them getting to the finals with this roster.
I will buy the fact that they are in contention for the West for sure, because Luka is a superstar plus a superstar, engraved into one physical body. I'll buy that they are a contender in the West for sure. I would take them over the Grizzlies right now. I would. I'm being objective right now.
Why would you take them over the Grizzlies?
I would take them over the Grizzlies right now.
Why would you do that?
When have we ever beaten the Mavericks, single-handedly? They seem to have our number.
Are you saying that, in a 7-game series, you pick the Mavericks over the Grizzlies? Or are you saying in the West, you think the Mavericks have a better chance of getting out than the Grizzlies? Or are you saying both?
A little bit of both. More so them getting out of the West than the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay.
But if I am to bet 7-game series, Mavericks Grizzlies, I'm taking the Mavericks. I am. Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a sneak peek. Let's take a look back at last year.
Yeah.
Both teams lost to the Warriors. I gotta say the Grizzlies series was a lot closer, considering they. If you look back at that game 6, it went down to the fourth quarter, and Ja wasn't playing that game.
And game 1 he misses the layup that could have given us the win.
Exactly.
So
Lots of
2
close
wins right
games.
there.
So, with the Grizzlies being more competitive against, as we saw, the champions of last year, I've got to hold on to that and say, okay, this is a more complete team. Because yes, he's better than Ja. Let's keep it real. He's the best player in between both teams. But then if you go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7, it's probably all of the Grizzlies. And they're just more dynamic with what they do on offense. Obviously, Luka runs kind of like a LeBron role where he's leading scorer and facilitator. They don't have a defensive presence like Jaren, like a Dylan Brooks. There's also a little bit of that Memphis identity. Dallas doesn't really have much of that, but they can still make a move. Zach Lavine is on the, trade talks, Kuzma. So if Dallas does get that secondary scorer and playmaker, it's not off the table. But as of right now, I've got to stay with the Grizzlies. And they have the better record this year.
Yeah.
Not by much because we are in a little bit of a slump. Dallas is on a rise.
And home court meant nothing against the Warriors last year. So we still lost to them.
Yeah. I did go to one game that we won.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So that was our buy and sell segment. And we are now going to transition over now, taking a good time of this show, talking about the Grizzlies' potential. And they are now coming off a string of losses. They lost on Christmas Day, and they lost to the Phoenix Suns. How they lost to the Phoenix Suns is... I'll start off by saying with the Warriors game, we should have never lost that game because whenever does Desmond Bane start out 0 for 7 shooting from 3, I will lick someone's foot if that happens again because that is never happening again.
Right, exactly.
Because he's coming off an injury. It's essentially what Jaren Jackson went through when he got injured a few years ago, where a little rust coming. And I thought Jaren's going to have that similar rust this year. Coming off an injury is just take a little bit more time to get acclimated and more chemistry build up. So Bane's not going to have an 0 for 7 shooting.
No, he was averaging like 24 a game on close to 50% three-point shooting before he got hurt. So definitely an anomaly.
Yeah. Once he gets his legs back underneath him, that's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
So losing to the Warriors without Steph Curry, definitely a stinger.
Yeah.
Going forward, as a Grizzly fan, I love the talk that Ja and the crew have done ever since he arrived to Memphis, and the smack that they've put on the Warriors and knocking them out in the play-in game a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, it's going to burn you. And it burned them on Christmas Day, and Klay Thompson and them were having a field day with it after the game.
Yep.
So, again, what are your thoughts on what's been going on the last few days and where you see the season going forward?
I definitely agree with you. The trash talk is it comes back. It comes all the way around. With the recent play of the Grizzlies, I've got to say it's an anomaly. Like you said, you just highlighted Desmond Bane going 0 for 7. Our whole team, I was talking to Parker about it last night. This is the worst, I think it's 4-game stretch shooting that we've had with Taylor Jenkins.
Taylor Jenkins as the head coach, yeah.
Yes.
I saw that tweet.
Yeah. I don't know the exact stat, but basically it's an anomaly. I think Desmond Bane was 2 of 19 entering into last night's game from 3 since he came back from injury. Oh.
Yeah, 4 straight games without making 10 threes for the first time under Taylor Jenkins.
Is that 10? That's 10 threes total, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. So that bad shooting slump right now combined with other teams getting hot against us. The Warriors game, it wasn't Klay Thompson hitting a bunch of threes or Draymond scoring a bunch. It was role players that
had no business doing what they're doing.
Exactly. Hitting 3 out of 4 threes or 5 out of 8 threes. And it's just not.
It's the perfect storm to lose, yeah.
Exactly. With the calls that we've been getting ever since Ja said some stuff about a ref, I think, online. The refs have kind of been coming for our necks. Especially, we saw that game Ja got thrown out.
That was ridiculous. I mean, which one?
OKC.
Guys, he got thrown out 2 this year, I believe. He got thrown out of.
The one most recently, because I think it's
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah.
I think it stems back about like
We talked
6
about
games
this
or
with
so.
Aaron Austin last week about how Ja got thrown out for talking to a fan and Draymond Green got a fan thrown out of a game. So, yeah, we talked about the double standard with that.
Yeah, so all of that is like, it happens. Perfect storm, like you said. But now it's time to get back on track. We're still in a good position. I think we're 3rd in the West right now.
Yeah.
And in reach of 1st. But we got to start playing better. And I'd argue that we probably need to make a move, some type of trade to. We have a lot of young talent and draft assets.
Yeah.
Why? We've
been drafting well. You can't.
We have, but at some point you gotta go for it, right? So I'm fine with dealing pretty much anybody that we drafted this year. Maybe some of our old draft picks like Zaire for a win now player that's gonna fit with our identity and fit with what we need. I think we definitely need to upgrade at center. Steven Adams is good. He's like above average, great rebounder, strong, physical, plays smart most of the time, has some dumb mistakes sometimes. But we need somebody that can do a little bit more offensively, I would say, and is probably a little bit better of a rim protector. He's a big body, but he doesn't really get off the ground much or alter shots. Obviously,
he has like a Zach Randolph mentality where he's a big dude, but he won't jump.
Yeah,
per
yeah.
se. Like he won't dunk it most. Like Steven Adams does dunk it more than Zebo. Zebo's dunking like 2-3 times total his entire career.
But he's not just like blocking shots. That's Jaren. That's another thing. We foul a lot. Stupid fouls. Jaren, Dylan Brooks.
You think that's mental or a coaching issue?
I don't think it's a coaching issue. Taylor Jenkins is probably saying the same thing to them. Like, bro, be smart. Dylan Brooks has that natural aggression to his game where like he's gonna do anything he can to mess with you and get the upper hand. But he's just got to be smarter about it, I think. Some of the reaches, like last night, the Suns game, Josh Okogie shoots like 12 free throws against us because every time he goes to the paint, it's like 3 people around him just swatting at him. Like, bro, he's not going to make the shot. Just let him have it. So it's some of that, just being smart about the personnel. Yeah, so we foul too much. And like I said, I think there's a move to be made. Maybe a Zach Lavine or Kyle Kuzma. Myles Turner is still on the books. Buddy Hield, a great shooter. Just something, either shooting, a better big man.
What would you say 3 first rounds Zaire for Zach Lavine?
That's a tough one because
Really?
we have Desmond Bane. Maybe if Dylan
You pull a Warriors with the lineup with what they're doing with Andrew Wiggins. He's a shooting guard playing forward.
Yeah, but Zach Lavine's not defensive at all, really. He can be. It's a maybe. I don't have a problem dealing Zaire, but 3 first is a lot.
That's what you got. That's what it's going to take to get one of these players.
Well, my thing is, why can't we send some of our first round picks that we already drafted?
You can do that too.
Yeah, like I'm fine with Roddy going or Laravia, even Kennedy, Chandler, because I mean they're not ready to play for us. Roddy a little bit, but not 30 minutes a game. So
yeah. So my initial thoughts on this recent slump, just to get back on trade, the whole proposition of trading for KD doesn't look too bad now. Because in the summer, it was, why would you trade for an aging player that's not going to pan out for you in a few years, where I would just say to that person, you go scorch earth. You should have been in the finals this past year. You need to get over the hump somehow, and we have lacked a small forward superstar presence through the grit and grind era and now through this era. It seems like if we had a small forward that could create his own shot and play good defense, you're over the hump, because we seem to nail with our point guards with Mike Conley and now Ja Morant. You had Tony Allen, who was a defensive presence, but not so much on the shooting side. Desmond Bane now does that for you. He brings the shooting and defensive. Lackluster small forward lineup. Zebo, the equivalent, is Jaren Jackson right now. And for center, we had Giannis Valanciunas for a good chunk of the time that almost resembled Marcus Gasol's gameplay. But now we've replaced that with Steven Adams. My trade proposal this past offseason would have been to trade for KD, because he did request a trade. You trade for KD. You pop off 3 first-round picks. One of them's not even yours. One of them you got from the Warriors.
Okay.
For taking on Iggy's contract.
I'm fine with 3
in
firsts.
2019-2020. And then the other 2 are ours. And then you ship off Zaire. You ship off Steven Adams. And then you essentially say to the Nets, at the time when Jaren Jackson got hurt, I was thinking of the mindset of, he's injured again. He's coming off of surgery. It's going to be another year or 2 before he's healthy, or if he is going to be back his dominant gameplay. I said, if you're Memphis Grizzlies brass, you flip a coin between him and Brandon Clark, and then you choose between one of those power forwards you ship to the Nets as well. So that's and Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks part of that trade too.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So that was my trade proposal that you probably could have pulled off with the Nets this past offseason.
I'm fine with giving that up as the Grizzlies. I don't think the Nets take that. Obviously, they love the 3 firsts. They actually might want more, honestly. But Zaire, Dylan Brooks, okay. Steven Adams.
Again, you're not going to get equal value for Kevin Durant unless you're trading for.
You're not going to get
unless LeBron is somehow in the conversation.
Right, you're not going to get equal value, but you want to feel good about your future when you're shipping him off. And none of those players really make you feel that way. Zaire, maybe. And then those firsts are, if there are 2 of them are ours and we get KD, they're not going to be that high.
Yeah.
Warriors, still probably not. Maybe. But I thought originally that we would have to include Desmond Bane
he was off the table always in my books. Desmond Bane, you don't touch him.
That's why we don't trade for him. Because my thing is KD, great player. But some of the off the court stuff is just, and we're in a small market, so it's like, is it worth, blowing up our whole future for a rental of KD? Obviously, I think he's on a 5-year contract.
He's got 3 years left on
3
his
years?
contract. 3 or 4 years left on his contract.
So it's a good amount of time, but a lot can happen in 3 or 4 years. So my thing is, I don't want to ship Jaren and Desmond for that, because we've hit on those picks pretty great. Desmond Bane's one of the best shooters in the league. Jaren's one of the best defenders in the league. So my thing is shipping some of those other pieces that aren't going to affect our future.
Who would you target for a trade then today?
Today?
If GM Zach came to you, Zach Kleiman, I think his name is, the general manager for the Memphis Grizzlies, he calls up Donovan Moody and he calls you up and says, "Hey, I want to get your personal opinion. Who do you think we should trade for right now? That's within reasonable reach."
That is hard. There's just so many players in the league.
I like the idea of Zach Lavine, actually. That thought's growing more and more on me. He is essentially what you want Zaire.
You know what?
When we drafted him, he's essentially that kind of skill set of what you want Zaire to be as your small forward.
I'm thinking about defensively. If we're running Jaren, Desmond, and Zach, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Jaren, which he can handle, but I think we need somebody a little bigger. I love Zach Lavine, though, but I do worry that he's like score 25 points on a mediocre or bad team. I don't know if he'd be willing to score 20 or maybe even a little bit less on a championship contender team. Maybe he is, and play good defense. If he is, trade. I'll do that trade. The 3 firsts in Zaire or whatever, one of the rookies. So he's definitely a target. Myles Turner, I feel like, a first and a couple young players.
I'll tell you right now, we're making the conference finals if we get Myles Turner in trade.
Myles Turner.
I'll tell you that right now. I believe that having Myles Turner against the Mavericks, who I said is going to make it farther than we are, I would say that puts us over the hump over Dallas if we get Myles Turner. If we get Myles Turner,
because I look at it this way, he's not a great rebounder. He's kind of like Jaren, where they're like, they may get you 8 or 9.
He's what you want in Steven Adams and then some with scoring. So he can get you those rebounds.
He can shoot better than Jaren. So if Jaren, he hasn't really been hitting his threes since for a while.
Who do you put at center then? Because they're both the power forward center quasi player.
You could do either at center, and you could rotate minutes where, they're out. What am I saying?
Switch.
Yeah, stagger their minutes. That way, you always have a shot blocking, floor spacing 5. Or if you really want to lock down, you have 2 shot blocking, floor spacing bigs, which I don't know if we've seen 2 guys that can shoot the 3 ball, are long, can go off the dribble and posterize you if they need to. Can average over two blocks. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. I mean, Cleveland is close with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, but Jared Allen isn't as
tall.
Yeah, they're not shooting as much, and they don't have the ball skills that Jaren and Myles Turner do. So those 2 are the first ones off my in my mind are Myles Turner and Zach Lavine. A lot of people have been saying Kyle Kuzma.
That wouldn't be a bad idea at all.
It's not bad.
He feels your small forward right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big
That's
body.
not bad at all.
He's a big body. Great scorer, hustles, decent passer, decent on defense, very clutch. He's hit a lot of clutch shots in his short career. My only thing is, like, I get concerned when we start thinking about trading for somebody who shoots a lot, like a Zach Lavine or Kyle Kuzma, just because of I don't know how that affects Desmond, how that affects Ja. Obviously, I hope it affects Dillon Brooks or that he's in the deal, so that
if I see another situation where we're down and trying to get back and Dillon just has the ball and he's yucking up threes and misses, I lose my mind when that happens.
Well,
I lose my freaking mind. I'm like, you're not the shooter. Drive it to the basket or pass it out to the actual 3-point shooter.
I'm actually convincing myself now here that if Dillon Brooks is in the deal and all of his shots are going to either Kuzma or Zach Lavine,
we win some of our
forget
games.
about that.
Yeah.
I think he is a better defender than both of them, though. And he does have, like, some of that that grit that's Memphis.
Memphis DNA.
Zach Lavine and Kyle Kuzma don't really have that. They're kind of like pretty boys. Dylan Brooks is too, but he's also like he's a villain. You kind of need that guy, that Patrick Beverly, the Draymond Green.
How's Patrick Beverly doing right now?
I don't know.
Not good. Not good. I want a good player. I don't care if he's a goody two-shoes guy or a villain. I want a player that can produce.
Patrick Beverly has not missed the playoffs in his NBA career.
And he's
until this year.
This year is going to be the first for him,
unless he is traded. But yes,
Utah didn't want him.
He
was traded to Utah.
We had him,
and they said to him, "Oh, we don't want you."
Yeah, we had him.
Hit
and
the
we shipped him off.
streets.
So, yeah. Do you have a trade target other than the ones we talked about for the Grizzlies?
I honestly, because KD's still stuck in my mind because we should have made that trade this offseason. Right now, before Desmond Bane came on, lit it up, I wanted Tyler Hero for the longest time. But since Desmond Bane has been clicking for us, we don't really need Tyler because he would just they do they're the same skill set player.
Yeah. Tyler's probably a little bit better a ball handler and passer, but
Bane
has more of the defense.
I wouldn't trade for Tyler right now as much as I like him. Honestly, the trades that you brought up with Lavine and Kuzma are very intriguing enough to where it makes me want to salivate what that offense would look like with Ja, Desmond.
Be able to do
Jaren.
a lot more. Because right now, if Ja's not in the game, the offense is like
it still produces with Jones.
Tyus,
with Tyus taking up the point guard position. It still produces.
Yeah, I like Tyus.
You don't include him in trade talks.
Yeah, you pretty much can't get a better backup point guard.
He could have left for the Knicks. He could have left for someone else, and he chose to come back.
Yeah.
He's the highest paid backup point guard in the NBA, so that helps for him staying. All right, so we're going to close out this show, as always, on a high note and also on a good note. We just had Christmas. So how was your Christmas this year, Donovan, and what did you do this year with your family?
My Christmas was good. It was a good Christmas. It's my first Christmas as a dad, so it's interesting because he's still young. He's going to be 4 months on January 1st, so it's not really much of an experience for him. He got a lot of stuff, but he doesn't know it, and he can't open it. So, but it was cool. I hung out with my family on Christmas Eve, ate some good food, opened gifts, played some games, watched some movies. So good times. And then Christmas Day, we were at my house, and we did it with my wife's family. So we opened gifts at our house, ate breakfast, and then we went to a party that her cousin hosted. So lots of things happening for this Christmas weekend for us. I'm sure next year is going to be even crazier when he can actually open gifts and talk and walk and all of that stuff. So looking forward to it. I didn't really get much. This was one of the first Christmases where I was like, I don't really care what I get.
I'm like that every single year.
Really?
I'm like that every single year.
So one of my love language is gifts. What does he call it? Receiving gifts or gift giving, whatever.
Yeah. Love language. Yeah.
So I do love getting gifts, but I didn't care what I got. I think I got some new shoes, a backpack, some books from one of my favorite authors, gift cards. I love gift cards and money because that means I don't got to spend mine. So great gift. And that's really it. Just a little bit. And then I kind of gave myself a Christmas gift. We got Christmas bonuses at work. So I used mine to get a PS5.
Wow. You heard that, Pastor John Siebling. If you're watching this, your money was well spent with Donovan.
Yes,
apparently.
it was. Yes, it was. Just a little gift for myself. It's been a good year. I wanted a PS5. Lots of good games coming out next year.
Where'd you buy it from? The store or
Online.
where online?
eBay.
eBay.
Yeah.
I got mine for like $350 off of Facebook Marketplace
What?
when they first came out. So,
Bro, I almost paid double that.
and this was when they were selling for like thousands of dollars. So like close to $900 or
So
something
why was
dollars.
it $350? Some mom wanted to sell their kids stuff.
You know what? What's funny about it is, I brought up at the staff meeting. I brought up at the staff Christmas dinner that Ben and Emily were hosting for us for the media team, and I said to them that I had bought this from someone off of Facebook, and they're like, "Did you? Was the serial number scratch or something?" So they were a suspect of it. But no, funny enough, I did not know this, but apparently when I was reaching out, I saw the price, and he's like, "Hey, is your dad Jack Mickle the third?" I'm like, "Yeah. Why?" It's like, "I started on a ship with him." I'm like, "Oh, really?" So there's your connection right there. So I met a shipmate of it. So it was apparently a shipmate of my dad's that they were on the U.S. They were on the General Ford aircraft carrier together.
That's cool.
So I did not know that. And then
So is that why the price was so low?
no, the price was low just for being low because he just needed to be rid of it because of
Moving or something?
not so much moving as that he just wasn't feeling it, I guess. Like he bought it and then he said like he doesn't have time to play games and whatnot.
Shoot, I don't either, but I still bought it.
Hey, we can both flex with our PlayStation 5s, but yeah, Facebook Marketplace, like find stuff on Facebook Marketplace. You'll get you'll steal deals. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm excited for it. I got some games that are coming out next year, or not next year. Well, some of them next year, but others soon that I'll be wanting to play, like Star Wars, Jedi Survivor. There's a new Hogwarts Harry Potter game coming out.
That looks intriguing.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what that role playing game's gonna be like.
Yeah, there's an Elder Scrolls 6. It's not a timetable on it yet, but looking forward to that. Obviously 2K, Call of Duties, Spider-Mans.
At what point as a Call of Duty player do you just say enough?
I mean, it's just a game. Once you play Call of Duty,
Call of Duty is like buy Madden every single year. It's like nothing changes.
Yeah.
And what little changes there are, it's minute.
Yeah.
And they're just draining you of money. At one point, do you just say,
oh, I don't buy Call
enough.
of Duty every year, but I like playing it. I'm sure it'll be a different experience on PS5.
it's not that different, I will tell you that.
I got the PS5 I have has the God of War Ragnarok.
That's a good game.
You played it?
I watched the story.
Gotcha.
It's a good story.
I bet.
Really good story.
I think it's in contention for Game of the Year or something. So,
Well, it has to be good enough that Amazon just secured the rights from Sony to make a TV show of it.
right.
So,
but how was your Christmas, Josh? Tell us a little bit about it.
Father-in-law and grandmother-in-law are in town. Father-in-law works at the Newport News Shipyard in Hampton Roads, Virginia. So all those nice military ships you see for our Navy, most of it's being built there. So he's part of that great experience that he does for a job. Grandmother-in-law came down from Florida, so needless to say, it was very, very chilly for her compared to the Florida weather. But then again, it was a generational blizzard that Memphis had. So
Yeah.
and this was my first ever Mid-South white Christmas. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think mine too.
because I was in Michigan for Christmas a few years ago with my wife over at her grandparents' house up there, and it snowed like 4 or 5 feet of snow up there.
Man.
And they got like 2-3 feet of snow right now.
Man.
So
Yeah.
it will snow up there. It will snow up there.
Yeah,
in
they could probably got like
Gaylord,
snow
Michigan.
plows and all types of stuff for snow days.
So yeah, you say you bought yourself the PS5. I'm the same way with like gifts and whatnot. Like I honestly don't care. Like we were thankful enough to buy this house. I have the TV. I have the sound system to go with it. I have a wonderful wife. I have great pets, and I have a roof over roof over my head. No payments left on there's no debt now I'm having to worry about outside mortgages now, which is essentially rent, essentially. But yeah, everything on my Christmas gift was actually all podcast related. So hopefully next time you come on, I showed you that sound. I showed you that soundboard that I got.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Funny enough, I got 2 of those for Christmas. Have you heard of Elfster?
Yes, bro. That happened to me too this year.
So my parents buy it, and then but I opened up my father-in-law's gift first, and he got me the soundboard, and I'm opening it, and then I open up my parents'. It's like, hey, I just got this just a few hours ago.
Bro, that same exact thing happened to me. My sister-in-law got me a book set that I've been wanting. I put it on my Elfster. I'm in 2 different gift exchanges. I thought only one gift exchange could see one list. So I put it on that list. She bought it. And then my brother-in-law on the other side, he bought the same thing. So I'll probably just, pay it forward, give it to some of the young kids at church. One of them.
Same thing happened to Megan, my wife. I got her like this Christian book of repentance, and then she opens my grandmother's her grandmother's gift first. It's the book. It's the book itself. I'm like, and before she got to my present, which had the book in it, I'm like so downtrodden. I'm like, oh, how sweet a gift. I got that gift. What the heck?
Yeah.
And then she's opening a gift from my parents. She got her the book too. So someone apparently forgot to check off, or it was simultaneously, coincidentally, at the same time that we all checked off like that check mark that's on Elfster. It's like, yeah, I bought this.
Yes.
So we're returning the soundboard that my parents got. They're sending me XLR cables and stuff to go with this and the soundboard so we can record off of it. Yep. And my wife went above and beyond this year. I did not expect this gift. She got me a drone.
Wow.
That's that silver case over there. That's the drone in that silver case over there.
That's how it came?
It was wrapped up. And then it was in the box, and then I opened it. It's that box way over there.
That had to be like
off screen,
$600 at least, right?
200, like 150. She got on sale for. You can go over there and grab it if you want to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Be right back, listeners.
Yeah. Lay down, buddy. We have a dog. Trying to keep him calm. So I will open this right now. Just to show the audience.
On YouTube?
Show the audience on YouTube. Yep.
Wow.
So yeah, my wife apparently got this drone for on a big sale apparently that it was like $400 something. She got for like $180 something.
That's a good deal.
So you can
go. Is it like Amazon or?
I would think it's Amazon. Yeah. So.
Have you been asking or talking about it?
I've been wanting a drone. I've been like talking it up for a drone.
Yeah.
The thing is with Virginia, you need a drone license because with the military bases, you got jets flying around. We got like 2 major airports that planes are flying around to where before you even shoot anything, you have to call in like the air traffic control and like the air marshals and whatnot saying, hey, in this, like, I'm in X zone. Am I free to start shooting with my drone? Or else they'll either shoot it down, or they're gonna come get you. Essentially, in Virginia. And from what I gather in Tennessee, there's no need for a drone license of sorts.
I don't think so, bro. Just go for it.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. But
cool.
either way, even if there is, I'm not planning on shooting anything on the interstate. like that sort of thing, to where it's going to disrupt traffic or catch anybody off guard. It's like, what the heck is
When
that?
you gonna bust it out?
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Okay.
I don't know for what yet, but hopefully soon. Maybe some on Beale Street. Maybe I'll try it there first.
Yeah.
Or somewhere along the Mississippi. But I want to, you know what? I just might try it at the church for first try.
Yeah.
First try, I'll do it at the church. So now is my big surprise for Christmas this year.
Sounds like a good Christmas.
Good Christmas indeed. So
Did you get Milo anything?
yes, he got a few bones and a few chewable, a few toys. So bless you. So the thing is with him, he's like dogs may rip to shred like their toys and whatnot. He doesn't do that. He'll take a toy, he'll like maybe ruffle around with it, but then he'll take it to his place or bed, and then he'll suck on it like it's a binky.
I didn't know dogs were capable of that, but interesting.
Like he'll just like he'll use some of his toys like it's a pacifier, and
Wow.
it's like the biggest like, and apparently it's a calming related thing for a dog. Like something about stress. Either it's something about stress or it's just something for them to calm down a bit. So
I got you.
he's a good dog. All right, we're gonna wrap up this episode. And yeah, any last thoughts?
Go Grizzlies.
Go Grizzlies. Yeah.
Titans, get it together. Seahawks, do the same thing. Josh, thank you for having me. This has been a great experience. It's been amazing to hear you just spout out facts that are just embedded in your head about random things. Like, how does he know that? But this was cool. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Hopefully have you on again soon.
Yes, sir.
All right. This is Joshua Mickle and Donovan Moody. Sign off.